I am so grateful to welcome you to Dropped In and to share you with our incredible community. Welcome, welcome.
I'm so happy to be here. And just even with the name of this beautiful show, I could feel it right before dropping in to be fully present with you. What a gift. Thank you.
Such a gift. Now, I would love for you to share, Gigi, who you are, what you do, and why you are so passionate about your craft.
Thank you. So interesting. Every time I hear that, I just have such gratitude because it gives me this quick moment to just have so much gratitude for my father because that's where all of this started. My name is Genevieve. I live currently in Mexico, Playa del Carmen, yet I'm from Ottawa, Ontario. And that's where my dad, as a single father, really forged a new pathway by selling his IT company and opening a holistic practice when I was 7 years old. And it's so interesting because still to this day, he passed away very suddenly at 59. And in the last 3 months of his life, we spent a lot of time together in hospice and just talking about all of the different realizations he had of the stored emotional trauma in his body that stemmed back from anger and frustration from his childhood. He was the oldest son, left the farm. That was kind of a no-no, and just recognizing the absolute holding pattern that was in his own body from there, and being able to, like, unpack that with him brought so much peace in the end of his life, but it also became, and still is, the biggest teacher in my life, and just so much awareness to how much our body holds. And so that sent me off a complete trajectory of, "Okay, how do I not follow in his footsteps in that pathway, but bring all this knowledge along with me?" Because I had some own disease in my own body. And so that's why I'm passionate now to be here in Playa del Carmen, where we run longevity vacations and experiences for high performers all over the world. And one of my favorite aspects is finding all of the tools and the practitioners that are the best at what they do and the best at what they offer to bring together to really curate individualized experiences for people because we're all so different. And at the same time, we're all connected. And once we really drop into our body and feel how much power is in that technology, everything starts to shift. And so that's really why I'm passionate about these conversations and being able to hold those spaces for people.
Oh my goodness, Gigi. I need a blanket. I am flooded with shivers.
You're so beautiful.
Oh my goodness, how profound, how profound, and what a sacred moment that you were able to have with your father, and I can only imagine the depth of healing that not only he received, but you received as well.
It's amazing, right? Because he really showed me that time, right? We all know time is an illusion in its own way, but also time up to the very last breath. There is so much available to us. And I witnessing him, he was helping everyone outside of him. He was brilliant at what he did. And yet he had not turned that lens inward. Of course,
Mm.
it was very painful, the unhealed healer. And so when he was really able to sit with that and was able to witness it with him, it showed me that quite literally until the day he passed away, he was in his process. Yet what I noticed is that through his process, my mom and him, who separated when I was 7, for the first time in I don't even know how many years, they were able to reconcile their differences and just be in a container of love together. And so the ripple effect of him committing to that work just showed me how abundant every small micro and macro decision and healing that we make on ourselves can impact everyone around us. And that is
Mhm.
just so beautiful. Even talking about it right now, I can feel that.
Mhm. Yeah, the ripple is real indeed, and so here you are now in Tulum facilitating this incredible work. Did you see yourself doing this when you were, like, a little girl? Is this something that you envisioned, or let's hear how this transpired?
It's so funny because when I was a young girl, I remember in school being asked, like, what do you want to do when you grow up? And I said, I wanted to own parking lots. I thought that it was so brilliant to be able to have parking lots. And I just imagined myself counting the change every week or however it was. And yet I had always imagined myself in a Caribbean setting. And so that's very interesting. So I
Mhm.
saw versions of this, yet I never thought that I would be creating experiences. And I actually shied away from it for a long time when I would have the visions because I didn't feel congruent in myself as a quote unquote healer.
Mm.
Yet over the years, when I realized that my version of that is really being able to hold the space and invite others in to who are really great at what they do, realizing that I was the golden bridge and the connector, that lit me up. And so curating the experiences is something that I'm so grateful I stepped into now. And yet it's constantly evolving, becoming this life of its own and bringing people back to their own return. It's called the return to Genesis. And so that Genesis within all of us. And so I never thought I would be doing this. And yet it's something that every day feels so exciting. I mean, I'm sure even for you, a lot of the things that you're doing now, it's had this amazing evolution that you couldn't explain really if you tried.
No, I couldn't. I couldn't. When I was a little girl, I wanted to be just like Mother Teresa, and I wanted to be an entrepreneur. So here we are.
Wow. That is huge visionary.
Yeah, I definitely am a visionary as well. So, oh, how profound, Gigi. So here you are facilitating this work, and you said something very significant that I take for granted because I'm in this work, but the importance of really getting to that root of dis-ease. You know, a lot of people are walking around with all these ailments, diagnoses, and I'm a firm believer, as being once a nurse and now in the work that I do, that we can heal ourselves. And so I would love to learn more about, if you are open to sharing your story of how you healed yourself, and then, how you're able to do this for others as well.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. We are able to heal ourselves. And one of the things I fundamentally believe is that we're not broken, right? We're disconnected to a piece of ourselves in some way. And what I've learned through this process is it's actually a lot simpler than we make it out to be. Yet the world around us, the chaos and the noise, has overcomplicated things and brought us further and further away from oneness of ourselves. And so in our mind, we believe that all of these diagnoses or all of these ailments or all these sensations that we're feeling makes it so complicated, yet it's a domino effect.
Mhm.
And when I was in my early 20s, I was hospitalized. I believe it was 24, 25. I was hospitalized. A cyst on my ovary had burst open, lacerated my ovary, and I had bled into my stomach lining, and it was excruciating pain. But at the time, when they were able to go in with laparoscopy, they were able to fix everything, salvage my ovary. They told me that I had PCOS and that there was this big fear based story that I would never be able to get pregnant and that I should consider getting a hysterectomy, and if for any reason I didn't do it before 30, that I should make sure to have it done by 30. And so that was the only details that I had been given. My dad, being who he was right there being like, we're not creating a story out of this. He was very much on it. Yet I hadn't had, by the time I figured out really how severe it was, I hadn't had a menstruation in about 9 years. And so my body was absolutely out of balance, out of alignment, but I didn't understand the depths of that until I moved here to Mexico after my dad passed. And so right before I moved here 5 years ago, I had another hospital visit, another cyst burst. And so when I came here, I decided to go see an OBGYN because in Canada, it was so difficult for me to get an appointment.
Mm.
And it was only if there was an emergency situation. So when I came here, I saw an amazing man, and he actually put it up on a big screen and showed me that I had 86 cysts on my ovaries and two 6 centimeter fibroids. And he said, for a woman of my age, I was 30 or 31 at the time. He'd never seen something like that. And he had told me that we should schedule surgery as soon as possible. And I said, I don't know where your belief system is, but I would really love to try this on my own. And he laughed
Mm.
and he said, okay. And I said, I'll see you in a year. Well, I went back 2 years later and I put it off for a while because I was extremely nervous that everything I had done didn't work. And it was really a layered process. You know, I started with 2 intensive retreats with Dr. Joe Dispenza to find what silence actually was. I didn't know how to go inwards to that level. And when I came here, I gave myself a sabbatical for a year. And so I remember sitting on my patio. I live on the jungle and the ocean. And I remember thinking, I don't know what I like. I don't know what I want to do. I had just been in my masculine working. I was running a hair loss center. I had real estate properties. And so there was just so much going on, and my life had exploded in front of my eyes. And so through that process, really opening myself up to possibility, learning how to, and going back to, I have my master's in NLP, going back to what I knew but I wasn't using,
Mm.
and really gaining control of my own mind and coming back into my heart. And through that process, every single person that I required to heal showed up in my life. And so those are the practitioners that I'm still doing work with to this day for other people. And there was one man that I met who's brilliant. And this came a couple years in, things were feeling good. My menstruation came back monthly. I was feeling more energized. I said I became a woman because I had hips for the first time. I thought that this was very exciting. And then I was feeling my energy crash. And so I was invited to a dinner in Tulum. And my partner at the time, I told him, I don't know if I can do it because I would do a Zoom and then my energy would crash and I was really deflated. What had happened? Where did all the greatness that I was feeling go? And so I sat down at this long table that I had knew no one. And we're at this dinner, still not sure why I'm there. And this man sits down in front of me. And I looked into his eyes and I started to sob. And he asked me, are you okay? And I said, I know you can help me. My soul recognized him in that moment. And I found out that he had been someone using bioresonance frequency devices for over 17 years, working with some of the most amazing medical doctors who were open to bringing alternative options in for their clients. And so, what he had found was a parasite that had moved from my gut to my brain when all my healing occurred. And it was shutting down those neural pathways, which is why I was crashing. And so I did really deep work with him for parasites, bacterias, my liver, and then I did more about liver, gallbladder after that. And suddenly, a few months later, I felt like a different person. And so I went back in, and the doctor told me that I had gone from 86 cysts down to 2 and that my fibroids were shrinking.
Oh my goodness.
And that's when I realized, okay, this is a process. And yet it all comes down to 4 pillars. It comes down to parasites, bacteria, contaminants, and unresolved emotions. And everything can come to those 4 buckets. And when we're willing to look in those buckets and peel back the onion layers, as we know, layer by layer, without thinking that because something else is aggravated or something else starts to show up, that we're not doing anything wrong, we're willing to be in that process.
Mm.
When we follow that golden thread and pull on it, it's unbelievable what is exposed to us. And so that's my belief, is that we all have our own golden thread to pull. And I know you do a lot of that work so beautifully. And it's unbelievable how much power and how much wisdom lives innately in our own body for to work with.
Mm. GG, my goodness, your story is profound. I have a story to share with you. I won't share it today on the podcast, but I'll share it with you about the golden thread with my health as well. And thank goodness you were able to follow that and heal yourself. Unbelievable.
Do you not find though, because everything I see that you're doing, there's a resonance to it that can only really come from a lived experience. That's what I feel from you. I
Mm.
feel the way that you speak. I even some of the posts that you do, I feel like I'm so seen by you. And so it's a mirror, and I can only imagine what that story is because I can feel it from you. It's different. It's almost like I understand because I've been there, and it's a really different place to come from in this space of healing or development or whatever we want to call it.
Truly, truly, and I think, being in the Western world we're in today, we're so easily getting diagnosed with these labels and diseases, and take this medicine for this and take this medicine for that. And yes, that's okay, And there's always a root to the matter as to why these are showing up, you know? Uh,
Absolutely.
like, I've had this huge, profound awakening as to what has been going on with my body, and it's like, oh, it just all makes sense. And had I just listened and taken the sinus sprays they've been trying to give me and the pain medication they've been trying to give me, I wouldn't I wouldn't be operating at the level I am today. So I commend you for leaning in and doing the work. And I'm sure the individual that gave you this diagnosis was flabbergasted when he saw what you had done in the 2 years.
Thank you. I received that. It is beautiful. And pain, right? I mean, story for another day. We don't have time today yet. I just had someone come down after she had 27 nerve ablations in 2 years after a car accident and nothing was working the pain. And it's so interesting, even when we look at the root of pain, how much of it comes down to those same 4 buckets. And that's something that I've learned that was even surprising to myself is how many of those symptoms really connect down to one of those 4 pillars. And so I'm just grateful to be able to have access to testing and being able to see those aspects at a cellular deep level because it is available. The technologies do exist for us to really be able to identify what's going on at a very deep level.
Mm-hmm. 100%. 100%. And if I could zoom out for a moment, you shared it sounded like you were kind of like in the hustle culture with all the things that you were doing. Do you feel that that played a role with what you had been navigating with your health as well?
Absolutely.
Mm.
It's I was mentioning to you before we jumped on that I was just in Sedona. While we're talking, there's these 2 doves that are just sitting here. It's quite beautiful. And I was in Sedona and I felt this profound peace over me where I wasn't in my head. And I remember my partner one day, we're on the balcony and I asked him, "What are you thinking about?" And he said, "Nothing." And I go, "There's no possible chance that you're thinking nothing." And I think about that often, like when I was just in Sedona where there was nothing in my mind, and I continue to go back to that version of myself that I was so in my head. I had so much that I felt I needed to prove, that I needed to do. It was never enough. There was never enough money. There was never enough properties. There was never enough. And I don't know how I was so disconnected from my body in overdrive that now I give so much love to that version of myself, knowing that it actually never has to be that hard.
Mhm.
And that amount of force is really what propels us into a collapse. And I believe that that played a huge role.
Mhm. Yeah. This is why I do the work I do because I believe there's a far better way, truly, fully and completely. And, we've been ingrained to push harder and to force things and to work longer hours and to really not listen to the wisdom of which our bodies hold, and completely live in the head. And it just leads to so much, again, disease and all the things. So I just I love that you are the embodiment of your work, and now you get to hold space for others as well. It's so cool, and I love that you're trained in NLP as well. I'm also trained, and that was actually the catalyst for me on the very beginning of my healing journey, which allowed me to really get to the root of this work. So,
I'm so grateful you're doing this work. I mean, I said to you before, like you're the OG of nervous system work, right? Because the nervous system is something that with hormones, grateful now, but it's becoming so trendy. And
mhm,
that nervous system, right? It's our signal. It's
mhm,
the original AI, adaptive intelligence that's signaling to everything. And if I didn't even know what that was, Meg, like I had no idea what a nervous system was. I had no idea that it impacted everything inside and outside of me. And
mhm.
so I think it's beautiful that you've been educating and shining a light on that aspect of humanity. And now, I mean, now you were ahead of the time and now you just get to continue to pioneer that path.
Oh, thank you, Gigi. You're so kind. I am receiving all of your beautiful, beautiful gifts of words. So thank you. You just shared AI
Mhm.
and the nervous system, and I have been recently introduced to a product. This is how we actually met. And I remember talking to Meg and I said, "This is like AI for the nervous system." I had never heard this before, and she said, "Oh my god, that was shared somewhere, I think on a Zoom or something." But can we chat about this profound gift that is being brought in? Because I yeah, you are just a wealth of information, and your passion for this product is next level, so I would love to hear more about it.
I would love to. And longevity to me is longevity is a really powerful place for us to be. Another thing that's becoming very mainstream in its focus. And what I love is that the world of longevity now can actually be quite simple. We're getting back to the root and to nature.
Mm,
And about 2 years ago, when I was on a search for my own toolkit, right? How do I elevate my everyday toolkit to something that has a lot more ease and that is personalized to what I require? And in that journey, it found me molecular hydrogen. And I didn't know what it was when I was first introduced. I purchased this beautiful vessel. And when I found out that I could create molecular hydrogen rich water anywhere I was going, I actually became quite fascinated based on how I felt. I know, probably same as you, I've tried so many things. And so for me to get wowed by something and want to go deep, I go deep into my research when I am wowed. This was one of those items where I could feel a substantial difference in my capacity. The only way I can explain that is it was almost as if my heart cracked open a little bit wider and that my feet felt firmly grounded even more. And I had more space in my mind. I could feel this capacity shift. And so I dove deeply into molecular hydrogen. And just like the most important part of that, I think for right now, high level, is that it is the smallest molecule on the planet. And yet it is everywhere and it has always been here. It's ancient, it's ancestral. And this tiny little molecule is so small that when we ingest it, because water is simply a carrier, you can also inhale it. When it goes into the body, it can bypass the gut and bypass the blood brain barrier and go directly to the cell. And that's what makes it so intelligent, like you said, an AI, because it's able to identify the good and the bad in the body. It leaves the good alone and it's able to go and really find, oh, here's inflammation, oxidative stress, dysregulation. And it's able to work in the body actively up to 30 minutes to downregulate and rebalance so many different aspects of our well-being and our nervous system. And so I thought, why hadn't I heard about this?
mm,
Well, apparently, and now it's coming out that there's over 3,000 clinical studies about molecular hydrogen, but it had never really come into the mainstream conversation until now. And the reason it is now, I believe, is because number one, inflammatory disease and oxidative stress is at an all-time high, and 75% of people globally are chronically dehydrated. Dehydration actually amplifies everything negative that we're experiencing in our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And so now we have this molecule that is safe even for women that are pregnant, that at any age or any stage can utilize without counterindications. And so now we're finally recognizing that with the right technology available to us, we can utilize molecular hydrogen in our body all day long simply by adding it to the water we're drinking. And it's not all created equal. And one of the things I'm very proud of is I always want to find the best. And so when I was introduced to an incredible startup called Lumivitae, which stands for the light of life, I was able to see the best of the best people, the best founders and formulators and scientists coming together to create a vessel and tablets that really had the purity of this molecule that was able to we were able to validate what it says it's doing is actually happening in the body and be able to offer this to people to take a simple habit like drinking water and turn it into your own beautiful medicine, your own holistic remedy that is able to really support you all day long, every day, depending on what you require. And so to me, I'm like, well, this brings everything together. Water is the conduit of the body. If
mhm,
the conduit of our body is deficient or dehydrated, it's not going to respond to energy the same way. It's not going to respond to frequency the same way. And yet, when we can amplify that hydration, that conductivity of the body, everything else we do, the therapy, the movement, the supplements, everything starts to function in coherence together. And we know that a coherent body and a coherent mind creates coherence in our environment. And so I have found that this little molecule is truly something that can add so much optimization to our bodies and to our lives. And I'm really excited about it.
I can feel it. It's palpable. And I'm so grateful because Meg was very persistent, is like, "You gotta try this, you gotta try this." I'm like, "Okay, okay," and I'm finally now taking it, and it has been such a game changer for me, and Meg and I are actually holding space for, organization next week, and, of course, we're going to be offering these tablets to allow us to get even more dropped in, so game changer for sure. So when did it get created? It's, like, just fairly brand new, isn't it?
So we had our original vessel 2 years ago, and it did so well that we knew that the innovation had to move forward, right? It was the best of the best, and so our newest device was created by some names that I can't share publicly yet, but everyone's gonna be very excited when they hear who is behind the formulation of this patented technology, and that technology is actually coming out to the public in the next couple of weeks.
Mm.
And so it's new, it is innovative, it is revolutionary, the world's never seen it before, and I truly believe that this is going to be the apple of wellness. It is unlike anything on the market currently and will stand alone for many years to come. And so I'm excited for people to really look at how this technology can be a staple in their everyday life and not just for water, for any liquid. And so, I mean, we could go into that another time because it's pretty exciting.
Very cool, very cool. Stop whatever you're doing and go to the link that we'll put in the show notes to grab some of your Lumivitae. So, Gigi, I could be here with you all day. I will absolutely honor your time and energy as well. So, how can our listeners learn more about you, connect with you, work with you, all the things?
Oh, well, I'm very excited to be here too. And right now, the best place is either by email, which will pop below, or Instagram, as we are reformulating everything to really support the ecosystem that we call the House of Hey Gigi, which is co founded by myself and my partner. And so, any information that you're looking for the Return to Genesis experience or anything that's going on in our lives and our ecosystem, you can find there. And I would be so happy to hear from you.
Hmm. I love Hey Gigi. That is so
Right?
epic. So
Hey,
good.
G. It's
So
so
good.
fun. Thank you, Meg, so much for you.
Oh, thank you. Before we say goodbye for now, what is a message of hope that you could leave our listeners for those who feel like quitting or throwing in the towel?
Mm. I would say that never underestimate a simple moment of silence, a simple moment of self-love. I always come back to if I can close down my eyes and breathe into the space of my heart for even a moment, I'm reminded of the innate capacity and power that lives inside of myself. And that is the same for every single one of us. We are all mirrors of each other. And so every time things feel like it is overwhelming, remember that you are being refined into the beautiful diamond that you are, and to drop back into that beautiful space inside and feel even a glimpse of the potency and power that you hold. That always changes things for me.
Gigi, you are the brightest light, the greatest gift. I cannot wait to read your book. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
coming on, dropped in.
Thank you for having me, Meg.
Mm.